What's up, space pirates? This is your captain, the Dread Pirate Dr. Disaster. And one of the funniest copes to watch is when someone tries to pretend that their accomplishments are a lot more impressive than they are, which is what we're seeing with the Steam numbers for Dragon Age the Veilguard.
That was it?
But it's really funny when you see the looks on their faces when they are confronted with what actual success looks like.
Jesus Christ!
That is what we have going on here right now, as I'm sure everyone knows. Dragon Age the Veilguard released yesterday, and we are starting to get an idea what the player count for the game is going to look like. They ended up with a respectable, roughly 70,000 players on Steam, and the people who want this game to succeed are carrying on like they just won the Super Bowl or something.
Whoop-de-doo!
But an actually successful game with a massive chunk of the gaming community who want to play it, that sort of game looks like this. Monster Hunter Wilds was cheeky as hell and made sure to release their open beta on the same day of Dragon Age the Veilguard's launch. And I thought maybe there was a chance that Monster Hunter would be able to beat Dragon Age in total player count, but I was wrong. Instead, they completely obliterated the Veilguard like a nuke from orbit, going on 7 times the number of players that Dragon Age was able to achieve.
I have come here to chew bubblegum and kick ass, and I'm all out of bubblegum.
Alright, me hearties, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already, and also, don't forget to follow me over on Twitter or X, or whatever you want to refer to it as these days. I keep a list on there of games lousy with wokeness pinned to the account at all times for your reference. My handle over there is Dr. Disaster 1. Anyhow, let's talk about this massive discrepancy between the player counts of Monster Hunter and Dragon Age. Both of these games are a part of well-established IPs with massive fan bases that started up around 2 decades ago, so this really is an interesting comparison. Dragon Age should have been able to hit the numbers that Monster Hunter is hitting, and yes, it's fair to point out that this was just a free open beta for Monster Hunter, and that Dragon Age's numbers represent the actual game. But it's also fair to point out that player numbers for open betas like this are often smaller than the player counts for their actual release. Black Myth Wukong is an example of this. It's possible that a game ends up like Concord, where people tried out the open beta and the game got a few thousand players, but when the actual release came out, there were only a max of about 700 players. But you have to be some kind of delusional fool to think that Monster Hunter is in any way comparable to that trash heap that was Concord. No, if anything, I suspect that the numbers for Monster Hunter will only go up when the game comes out officially. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if these numbers go up this weekend. The Dragon Age people have been trying like hell to cope with how their game flatlined at about 70,000 players, saying that it was Halloween, so a lot of people probably weren't playing, and fair enough, that might be the case. The game might break 100,000 concurrent players. At this stage, I have my doubts, but it is possible. By that same logic, though, Monster Hunter Wilds might go up as well. But what nobody wants to talk about in the Dragon Age the Veilguard camp is the reason that Dragon Age is not seeing the massive numbers that Monster Hunter is getting. This discrepancy perfectly illustrates the failings of this game that we've talked about in this space for a while now. All of this pronoun gendermancer crap that they've inserted into the Veilguard, all of this constant obsession with gender stuff, all while essentially denying that real women exist. I mean, look at the slider here for the character creator on the Veilguard. This is as large as the chest can go on a female character in Dragon Age. And then look at the female characters you can create in Monster Hunter. The blatant, ideological nonsense in Dragon Age has completely driven people away from the game to the point that it's become just another release, no big deal. But put this into perspective. This is the 4th Dragon Age game, a release that some people have been waiting 10 years to see. This game should be absolutely crushing it, in the same way that Monster Hunter Wilds is crushing it. In fact, here are the numbers for the Veilguard's contemporaries. Baldur's Gate 3 peaked at a whopping 875,000 players, which is roughly what I would bet Monster Hunter Wilds ends up with when it releases. But anyhow, Baldur's Gate got about 875,000 players, and it damn near beat Dragon Age on the Veilguard's launch day, despite the fact that it's been out for over a year now. That is what a popular game looks like. Or look at Elden Ring here, with 953,000 concurrent players when it launched. And here we are 2.5 years later, and it got over half the players that Dragon Age got on its launch day. The Veilguard is simply not in the same class as these sorts of games, despite the fact that it really should be. There's no good excuse for this level of apathy from gamers. The game simply is not resonating with the vast majority of players. There are only 2 kinds of people playing this game. The cultural auto-intake crowd, as I call them, those people who are big Dragon Age fans and who will buy this game as a knee-jerk reaction simply because it says Dragon Age in the title. And the other sort of person is the modern audience. But, as usual, those sorts of people are not enough to make this a big success for BioWare. You may remember this chart I discussed yesterday, which shows the top 15 games by revenue on Steam for 2024. Most of the games on the list are decidedly not woke. By far the wokest game is Hades 2, which came in at number 14. It sold 1.7 million copies and hit 48 million in revenue. It will be interesting to see if Dragon Age will be able to beat Hades 2 in peak concurrent player count. Hades hit 103,000 players. In order to have a chance at cracking the top 15 by revenue, Dragon Age would definitely need to hit this 103,000 player count. And even then, it's not definitively going to be a financial success. As we discussed the other day, the game will need to hit somewhere around 4.5 million copies sold at full price in order to break even. But Monster Hunter Wilds, now that definitely looks like it's going to be a massive success. I know some people have been complaining that male characters in the game, male characters can wear female clothes and vice versa, which they've been saying is an indication that Monster Hunter is actually woke. And frankly, I don't agree at all. There is a world of difference between that and what we're seeing with Dragon Age, where they push tops surgery scars in character creation, all the while preventing females from having a chest size larger than an A cup. And then, of course, all the pronoun talk during the game, which pulls players out of the experience. No, I think Monster Hunter is just giving players the choice in a nonchalant way, and it doesn't bother me at all. It is in no way similar to Monster Hunter when it comes to wokeness. But I'm going to leave it there. Drop your predictions down below. Will Dragon Age hit 100,000 players on Steam this weekend? Drop your thoughts into the comment section below, and we will talk there.
Thanks for watching, me hearties. If you haven't already, your captain is inviting you to subscribe to the channel and become a part of the crew. Life as a space pirate may not be glamorous, but there's always plenty of booty.